On the 7th day of Christmas, namely 90s gave to me 7 twins of twins, 6 sliders sliding, 5 fruit cakes, 4 time loops, 3 young kids, 2 perfect dreamers, and a refrigerator day bonus. And it occurred to me as I was singing that you all are on mobile devices without headphones, so that probably still screwed you up.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I think for some reason I had a flashback to when my football team, my soccer team, briefly went through a phase of trying to have cheerleaders, and they had that kind of level of coordination.
Welcome to Namely 90s, the podcast that takes you back to the time before smartphones, Google, and Y2K. Join your hosts as they relive the pop culture that shaped a generation and the parts that many people wish they could forget. Listen in to the conversation about how the decade defined those who spent their childhood there and how it shaped them as adults. So, turn down the grunge and dial up the internet. Let's get started. It's time for Namely 90s.
That's right, you're listening to Namely 90s. My name's Andrew, and there's Brandon.
That's me.
You can find us online at namely90s.com or on Twitter and Instagram at namely90s with a 90s. If you'd like to watch this show, you can find it on YouTube at namely90s.com/YouTube. And finally, if you'd like to support the show, head on over to patreon.com/namely90s with a 90s. And so give us your support. Welcome to another episode of our 12 Days of Christmas specials. We welcome you, and again we have a guest, which Brandon will introduce. Why am I talking like this? I'm so sorry. Am I nervous? I might be nervous.
I think you're under the weather.
Brandon, say something.
Merry happy, everyone. Today we have 3 guests, in fact, not just one. We have John, Gareth, and Claire from Everyone Dies in Sunderland, a podcast about growing up terrified in the 80s and 90s about people being murdered down the street from them, essentially.
That's
more or less, right? Am I close? Is that like
that's
a good...
That's our branding. Thank you so much.
Yeah. How are you all doing?
We're good, thank you. I speak only for myself there.
I'm terrible, but I thank you for... Anyway, but so thank you. Claire, how are you?
We are currently halfway through recording our own show.
Oh, no.
Quite exciting, because we're going to talk about like a high school comedy on this show. It's literally a plot. We are in the process of trying to do 2 podcasts at the same time over 2 continents, which is a very, very excellent sitcom plot ready to happen.
But what that means for you guys in the good way is that I'm not quite that drunk yet. So we're all good on that level.
Thank you for taking time out of your podcast to record with us.
Yes, you asked how they were, and I was like, well, they haven't been killed yet, so I suppose that's good considering the name podcast.
I snuck away and decided to live in Scotland. So while I'm from the northeast of England, around Sunderland, I have gone a good 8 hours away from where anyone would die in Sunderland, and I am very, very safe on the Isle of Skye. So.
Is there less murders in Scotland than the northeast England?
I certainly think around here, I think the last proper murder that happened in the area that I'm living in was around kind of 7 years ago, and it was a wife killing her husband over lots of cigarettes. So there we go.
And people don't smoke as much anymore, so you're safe.
Well, correct.
Whereas like the starting point for like the kind of entire show is the road that I'm on right now. It's where I live. Christmas Eve 1993, there was literally a murder, which the street I was on, kicked off involving a fake Chinese takeaway food order being placed from the phone box on my street in 1993. But that's how kind of the podcast started in a way.
That's fascinating. And assuming you were all. Well, I mean, it's crazy to think that you have as many episodes as you do so far, just focusing on the murders in your small. Is it a township?
Not gonna lie.
So it's that many murders? Is that is that really how
it's like Murder, She Wrote. You have something every episode.
Or Diagnosis Murder. Yeah, wherever we turn up, there's murder.
I wonder if that's a coincidence.
Yes, is this just a cover for you guys?
I was going to say one of the benefits to having a lot of murders, though, because I dabble in true crime. I'm not a huge fan, but is these areas like, say, the area in Scotland you're at, when they only have a murder every 7 years, they have no idea what they're doing when they investigate them, and they just make a complete mess of it. So at least if there's a lot of murders, you have people who know how to investigate them. So I'm looking at the bright side. You would think. Well, and the American policing system is such a good example of how police work should be done that, I'm kidding. That's a joke. Sorry.
I mean, Andrew watches Law and Order UK, but
I love that show.
My only reference is Hot Fuzz. So,
True British policing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Does Simon Pegg just go around in a swaddling?
Fundamentally, yes. We've got a show called Midsummer Murders, where all of the murders happen in a very, very small village called Midsummer, and its sort of area. And this has been going now for probably about 20 seasons.
Yeah.
And they just don't think to arrest everybody in the town, because at some point or another, they're all going to kill someone by the way it's been going. So it's not the greatest policing here either.
See, as an American, I always just thought those were murders that happened in July, unfortunately. So it's true. Eventually I figured it out after Jeremy Clarkson referenced it enough times between offending large groups of people.
Yes,
he will do that.
We did do a 3-parter in the series we're just wrapping now about like the back end of the Troubles in Ireland, where obviously the idea of internment was quite controversial, which was basically the same logic. It's like, if we just arrest everyone now, they can't commit murders because they're already in prison.
There you go.
That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, but yeah, interesting. Actually, it's weird because we straddle 2 police areas. And I think what's coming out more and more is that Northumbria, actually 3 police areas actually. So Northumbria police area and Durham police area are quite different in their crime solving capabilities. The show we're actually in the middle of recording right now, there are several crimes happen, and the one that's in Durham is solved within 2 hours, and the one that happens in the Northumbria police area is still unsolved since 1987. So that's probably quite a good flavour of the different capabilities of the 2 different forces.
Clearly. And
is what I'm saying. As me and Claire being proud. Why Dorovians? Claire's like, no, I think of myself as Dale.
Why me?
One thing I need to know, because I did watch a fair amount of Law and Order UK, which I enjoyed thoroughly, is tell me more about the Whigs. Is that still a thing? I love the Whigs. They're everything.
The political party. Not since
It was great. They're like in the courtroom. They're wearing
Americans,
robes.
were you impressed at how very quickly I quickly went to the last Whig president?
Excellent work.
Was he a Whig president or a Whig president? Yeah.
Put your politics back in your pants, Jan. The Whigs are still a thing. The Whigs and the gowns are a very big part of our sort of legal system for genuinely no apparent reason.
I like it. There's a sense of decorum. It's good. I like it.
There was a story about the Whigs.
Yes.
Here we go.
So it's my favourite story of many stories I have. One of my oldest school friends is a barrister, so a courtroom argument lawyer. I think to get the wig, I think you have to be what's called the bar. Is it Gareth? You're the law person.
Yeah.
But you have to formally be accepted as having the level which you can wear the wig. So he reached that stage, did his first time in court with the wig, very, very nervous before he went into court for the first time, had to go to the toilet, did so wearing the wig, bent down to the urinal, wig fell off, into the urinal, urinated on his wig, and then had to go into court for his first ever court appearance as a fully qualified barrister, smelling of his own piss.
He's desecrated the wig.
They don't show that on Law and Order UK.
And I love that the wig is unisex too, which is nice.
Oh, yeah. Very progressive.
It's the most progressive, yeah.
Although, if a woman came in with her wig smelling of pee, you have to ask a few extra questions.
Oh dear.
I don't know what that implied, but I got an extra laugh out of that. We also wanted
to court, though. You just nip into the toilet and you see your barrister who's drying his wig with using the hand dryer. Like, sorry, I had a bit of an accident. You probably won't go to prison.
Oh, hopefully it wasn't one of those like Dyson fan blades. So we also wanted to thank you for our 1 year anniversary episode. You sent us a lovely message, and we
much appreciated.
I assure our. Yes, it was nice of you to reach out, and I'm happy that we were able to have all of you on one of our Christmas specials to connect more and talk about the Olsen twins. But first, let's take it back. Do you have any like holiday Christmas memories to share? Maybe about the 90s, from the 90s, maybe about murders. I don't know. You mentioned someone was killed in 1993. Right down the road from where you are.
I don't remember it. It's kind of the show.
Yeah,
the show is literally like, yeah, that happened Christmas Eve '93. There was a murder in the village. I don't remember.
And I was playing.
I mean, talking about the show, people to this day are kind of like, oh, everyone knows who did it. I don't.
Brilliant.
I've largely repressed that time that Santa killed my dad, so I just don't like thinking about it. But he did leave a note saying, "I don't like lemonade that you leave out for me. Leave out whiskey." And that kind of was, yeah. You know, when your childhood ends, it was at that point that my childhood ended, when Santa said, "I want whiskey." All right, okay, fine, Santa. Just don't kill me. That's
Andrew, any whiskey-related Christmas?
I hesitate. I don't know. I'm holiday memoried out. I don't want to remember it.
Speaking of things we don't want to remember, I forced us all to watch Two of a Kind.
It was
so just I'm sorry you three got caught in the middle of this. This year we both picked 6 episodes each to focus on for the holidays. Andrew picked some obscure shows that people. I've had a very hard time finding people.
He was mad at me for choosing a cooking show.
Yes.
I chose a cooking show.
Can I?
Yeah.
Spoiler alert! I presume things have gone out before now, but what other ones have people? What other ones have you chosen for people to watch?
So up to this point, we started with the Dinosaurs TV show, which Andrew admitted earlier this year
gave me nightmares
as a child.
Yeah,
so
seriously.
That's why
it ends with the entire cast dying and the end of the world.
Good show, though.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Refrigerator Day was their holiday-themed episode. They worshipped refrigerators, apparently. We did Hercules, their Christmas episode called A Star to Guide Them. Yes, a Greek mythological show did a episode about the baby Jesus being born.
Yeah, naturally.
And you then see the glowing child show up in Xena, which we did last year.
So bad.
We did Lois and Clark, 'Twas the Night Before Mixmas, which kind of had some dark things going on in that episode.
These are all Brandon selections, by the way, these 3.
Yes.
Well, so far they're better than this one, so thank you.
Also, we had Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place.
That was me.
Two Guys, a Girl, and a Christmas Story.
No, that's good.
And then we had Good Eats. Good Eats, It's a Wonderful Cake.
It's an American cooking show with Alton Brown on Food Network. Not sure if you have that.
I'm more of Alton Brown, but I think I've probably seen Good Eats on YouTube. But
it used to be on YouTube.
I love the idea though of doing like the reality TV show Christmas special.
And the guests we had were amazing. So even though it took Brandon a while to find them, yeah.
We're going to have DIY SOS Christmas special 2004 or something. They do get the DIY job done by the end of the show. So.
Shocker. And then yesterday's episode for Boxing Day, we had Gaz and Dange on from the Insanely Dangerous Retro Pod Show to talk about Sliders Season's Greetings.
Sliders, another that was
an Andrew pick.
Can I just also point out last year with Gaz and Dange, we did the holiday episode of a show called Bottom, which I imagine you're familiar with, and that was quite entertaining.
Was it the Christmas episode of Bottom?
Yeah.
Holy. They find sorry. So,
you actually know it's called Holy, whereas
the episode is called Holy.
For the four of us all thought it was Holly for the longest time.
Makes sense.
Holy.
Because we're dyslexic.
I am the Everyone Dies in Sunderland sitcom correspondent. And Bottom is up there with my favourite shows, not just sitcom shows, but my favourite shows of all time. So I'm intrigued. What did you guys? Because it's very British. It's kind of not British humor in a way because it's got its kind of basis in slapstick and a lot of Laurel and Hardy, but as well as a lot of very British violence and vulgarisms. What did you guys think of it? I'm intrigued.
I mean, I like slapstick and physical comedy works for me, so it hit pretty well. I mean, it was kind of painful to watch, but at the end of it, I was like, I mean, I felt better for it, as I say a lot with these specials.
Yeah, it was a good episode. I think it went on because like every single holiday episode or special in the UK, it's an extended episode, right?
Well, no. All of Bottom is always 30. Unlike you guys, we don't have adverts every literally 3 seconds.
Right.
So, and Bottom was the BBC, so it doesn't have adverts at all. So when we have sitcoms, if they're on the BBC, they're usually pretty much 30 minutes. If they're on ITV or Channel 4 or any commercial station, they're more around the 24-minute, 25-minute mark. Whereas you will happily go, there's 19 minutes of a sitcom. There might as well be a fucking YouTube video. Sorry, am I allowed to swear?
Yes, that's fine. We have the e-tags ready.
Cunting YouTube video. And go, there we go, job done. But no, Bottom. That Bottom one was. Usually we will have longer episodes of Christmas, true, but that was a standard 30-minute episode of Bottom. So
okay, so maybe that's what it was. My American sitcom sensibilities were kicking in.
It felt long, but we're used to 22 minutes.
It was 35 minutes versus our usual 22, 19.
Has it inspired
we are already angling to come back on this show this time next year and do the Father Ted Christmas special.
Yes.
And that is a longer episode. That's about 50 minutes compared to half an hour. And it does, even though me and my wife watch that every Christmas Eve, it probably the last 20 minutes doesn't need to happen.
John, you know why we can't do that? Because I will not stop talking about people, how Graham Linehan is a horrible, horrible human being, and no, we can't do that.
Gareth's not invited.
Okay, that's fine. I'll go and watch Bottom. We're all right. Very quickly, has Bottom Holy made you watch any more Bottom?
No.
That's good. That's a good point. We did say at the end of the episode we would probably be open to watching a couple more episodes, and we haven't followed through. And I think that's because it's not on any streaming services that major streaming services. It might be on BritBox, which I feel is just offensive to have already. Whereas I can get Doctor Who off of
Netflix.
HBO Max, I think, has that here.
I'm still rewatching.
Doctor Who fans.
Just me, not Andrew. It's not like I'm staring at two separate TARDISes in my room.
There was something in the background of his room once. And I was like, that's right. He gave me something in my pocket for the the Halloween
Did I
special
toss
we
it
did.
off in your pocket?
Yeah, he changed our logo, my little caricature guy, or whatever you call it, avatar, and I had something up what looked like it was in my pocket. It was actually an FBI badge, but at first I was like, is that like the flashlight thing from Doctor Who?
The sonic screwdriver.
The flashlight.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tap out now,
You've
guys.
just killed an old friend.
Yeah, no. So John and I are huge Doctor Who fans, much to the upset of Claire. I'm not in my study, so I can't show you all of my things like John is going. I am a real fan. But,
Yeah, I think was it your most recent episode where that came up again with the alien? Which? You had an episode
literally
that.
every episode, so
Okay, you recently had an
The important
episode
thing
where you
is
talked about aliens over.
Yeah.
yeah.
Which I
Season
think
has just ended tonight in
Nice.
this country, and
This is my contribution.
I have spent the last week thinking to myself, the program is literally called Doctor Who, and you're going to make us meet the Doctor's parents, aren't you? And that hasn't happened, so I'm all right.
Sorry, Andrew, was that either a vape or a sort of Dremel drill sort of
No,
thing?
it's a
Oh, a screwdriver.
tiny camera tripod. I was looking for a screwdriver, but I put it away.
it looks like the next sonic screwdriver. Who knows? Okay, we've gotten a long way from Two of a Kind, which
You railed this, I apologize.
no worries. It's we're a very free-formed show.
Yes.
So Two of a Kind is an American sitcom that aired on ABC as part of our TGIF lineup, starring Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen in their first television series since Full House, ended in 1995. It ran from September 1998 to July of 1999, so that's a single season. In the UK, it aired in reruns, I think, on Nickelodeon, the Disney Channel, and Pop Girl, if you're familiar with Pop Girl.
Don't know.
Yeah,
Go.
My
a
favorite
bunch of shaking
channel.
heads. Yeah.
No.
It gained fame, or like it entered the public consciousness as reruns on ABC Family. There's like, I was looking on Wikipedia, there's 40 like light novels written about the show. There were 22 episodes of the show. How did you get 40 light novels over the course of like a decade written about this single season of TV?
I had to research that, you see, because I have, in terms of my Christmas memories, my memories of basically just watching telly. And kind of during the Christmas holidays, there was generally sort of high school American import dramas from the Peter Engel stable were always on those mornings. So there was stuff like not just Saved by the Bell, but Hang Time, California Dreams, all of that ilk. My cat's joining us now. She's gone behind the screen, so that's good. So I did watch those, but I didn't see this. So I did have to do some research about that.
I feel like we were a bit aged up at that point. We were watching the dizzy heights, as you say, of Hang Time, running together, sharing a dream so fine. We'll always be together. Hang Time. There was probably other.
Hang Time with these friends.
But
I don't think I know Hang Time.
Yeah.
it was Saved by the Bell with basketball.
The basketball, yeah.
Pretty much.
They played basketball. That was their thing. One of them was a girl. Just imagine.
But whereas we were not really in the age range of Mary, Kate, and Ashley Olsen, whatever they're called. And can I just say now, can we just call them both Elizabeth? Because it's just easier. It takes away from any confusion of, and there was Mary Kate trying to snog a boy 3 years older than her. Just say, that was Elizabeth doing that, and that was Elizabeth also doing that.
Gary.
So
Well,
Okay.
I want to give credit to the good Olsen sister, quite frankly.
Yes.
Gary.
Gary Olsen, yeah.
Gary Olsen was a sitcom star of the 90s in the UK you won't have heard of. He's sadly no longer with us, but that's me and Gareth's joke.
There is, don't watch the 2.4 children Christmas special. That's the bit.
Just a point. You said you were aged out of the Olsen twins. Andrew and I are the same age as their younger sister, Elizabeth Olsen, who people may know from the Marvel Cinematic Universe as Scarlet Witch these days. But yes,
Something I didn't know when I researched
Yes.
was that Two of a Kind, it's actually a prequel to The Shining. And Very Kate and Ashley are actually the creepy twins.
I don't doubt it.
Had they done an episode 23, it would just be them in a cupboard going, "Come and play with us, Carrie."
I'm just glad we have the murder specialists on our podcast because you're witnessing the death of American television by watching this program. It's really. I actually thought it was a Disney Channel show based on watching it.
Oh yeah, I mean this was somehow on TGIF, which was dying at the time. That was our like big Friday night lineup.
Prime time kind of TV. Yeah.
Like they tried to revive it with the George Lopez show. That's how you know that it was on its way out. I'm just saying.
That and Hope and Faith starring Kelly Ripa and some other blonde woman.
I remember vaguely Hope and Faith. I do like the fact that it's a sitcom, but as John would say, it's not really burdened by either situation or comedy. So it's free to be its own thing, which is shit. But there's this the thing that boggled the mind about this particular episode for me was that it was a Christmas special, which is usually, it can be a very special episode, and literally nothing happens for the first 15 minutes other than Christmas, everybody, it's Christmas. And then there's a woman and a man who do Christmas differently, and it's Christmas. And then it all kicks off in the last 4 minutes and all gets wrapped up in the last 2 minutes. Yep. And it's magnificent. And I apologize to talk more generally about it, but this episode, if this episode is indicative of the rest of the series, I mean, what the hell are you watching?
It's not far off. I mean, a lot of the Christmas episodes of television we've watched in the like TGIF sitcom era is like the first 10 minutes is just establishing that it's holiday, and then the last 5 minutes is something's happened and then resolving, and then the final 2 minutes are someone singing a song,
someone breaking into song randomly.
Yeah,
which happened in this.
They have to feign death to stop their dad singing.
The thing that stressed me out was like she kept calling him Professor, and I just assumed they were together. They're not. No. But it seems somewhat improper. Like she's always there.
She's their babysitter.
Single. She's the babysitter. She's in his class. Like it's just.
She's older. Here's the background for Andrew. Professor Kevin Burke is a college professor and widower living in Chicago with his twin daughters, Elizabeth and Elizabeth Burke.
Thank you.
Elizabeth is a tomboy, and her biggest interest is performing her jump shot and curveball, and her worst subject in school is math. Elizabeth is a girly girl who makes straight A's and dreams of a modeling career and dancing. Carrie, who's the redheaded woman, I believe, is a 26-year-old woman in Kevin's class who has come late to college after exploring the world. She's quirky, difficult, beautiful, and quick to speak her mind. She answers an ad for babysitting. The Elizabeth twins scheme to get her and her dad together and have her be their living babysitter over their neighbor, Mrs. Baker, who's kind of an old curmudgeon. And then that's how the show starts.
So the thing is, there's one, we call it season of this episode. So what, 20, 22 episodes, something like that. How can there be this much like story around it?
That was the first episode.
And, it's just like, that's the first episode? Wow.
Yeah.
Think of those children's books. It's 3 pages long, but then like the description is longer than the actual book.
Yep.
It's just, it felt like that.
It all just we can start talking about the episode "A Very Carrie Christmas."
Yes.
Like just from the intro scene, it all started coming back to me. The Elizabeth twins played their usual opposite dynamic. One being the scholarly preppy girl, the other one being the rebel slacker tomboy. This is my notes that I was writing down. The dad's a widower. They live with their live-in babysitter. and you want them to get together, even though it's probably against the college's rules or whatever.
I was definitely watching it and thinking, these two people can never possibly become romantically involved. They are just too fundamentally different. It would never work.
It's a Dharma and Greg situation, I believe, if you're familiar with that one.
I liked Dharma and Greg. It's got a very bad reputation.
It reminds me of the episode of Friends where he's like, Ross starts dating a student, and they're like, isn't that against the rules? And he's like, not technically, it's just frowned upon. And then he finds out it is against the rules. I don't know, I like that episode.
Yeah. Which
and her dad is Bruce Willis for some reason.
But of course, it got cancelled before they actually ever reached the resolution of the professor and the Carrie plot.
They did do a
apparently
kiss.
The last episode, they do kiss. And then she immediately gets on a flight to South America. And we never know what's going to happen in their relationship. But you do find out in the books, the 40 books, which I've read. If you want to know what happens to Carrie when she flies to South America, she goes missing on a cruise ship to Curacao, and there are later sightings of her on escort websites and in brothels. It's all Mary Kate's idea.
I was going to say, this sounds like one of their direct-to-TV or direct-to-video movies. Yeah.
Cliff Richard wrote a song about it.
I'm delighted that we've got a Doctor Who fan on the show, and I don't know whether you're a classic Doctor Who fan or just the new series.
I mean, I started on the new era, but I have gone back and watched most episodes from the classic series.
It was simply because the only thing that got me through watching this is the fact that Carrie consistently refers to Elizabeth's dad as the professor.
Yeah,
as
I noticed
Ace
that.
does, as Ace does to the Seventh Doctor. So I just kind of assumed that they were in hiding, and I just made the entire thing up that it was in fact the Seventh Doctor and Ace, and just having and the two kids were, I don't know, robots or something. Who knows?
Or maybe they're like an evil alien trying to ruin them.
Yeah, maybe.
Like catch them in the act. They're like, we think there's some sort of fob watch sitting around here somewhere, but that has the
I'm
Doctor
glad you
memories.
made the reference.
Yeah.
That's a good reference.
They went into a chameleon arch and lost their memories.
Nothing.
I would say the real threat surely has to be Carrie herself, though, because over the course of the episode, she lets herself into his house. She fundamentally alters its design, does his Christmas shopping, and then cooks his Christmas dinner. She is his student, and her job is to babysit his children. That's their relationship. And that's how Mary Kay and Ashley end up ghosts in the prequel to The Shining.
Oh,
never
you're
find
saying
out what happened to their mother, do we? No, she happens to their mother.
Carrie killed their mother, waited a few years, or went on the lam for a few years, came back as a student, and then is now...
Wait, I'm just thinking about it, sorry. If we're tying it to The Shining, are we sure she is not the Carrie?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Dropping the mic. Just saying.
I'm
saying.
Speechless.
Bucket of pig blood.
I think we've moved on too quickly from what I can take away from me is the very festive message for this Christmas special, which appears to be, don't trust the homeless, they will steal from you.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was spinach is not mistletoe.
Took was Mary Kate or Ashley nails some spinach to a wall in an attempt to trick a 30-year-old man into committing statutory rape.
Yeah. Well, and also, all of this could have been avoided if they would just lock the door.
Yes,
Just lock.
Yeah.
Well, like the
Front and back.
Yeah.
The guy makes off with their presents, but like you don't know. You're living in Chicago. Your front door's unlocked. Someone could have just walked in while you were having dinner and walked out with your presents. And maybe the guy that stole your presents, or you think stole your presents, is using the upstairs bathroom because he did some terrible things to the downstairs one earlier.
I don't want to start leading this, Brandon. Are we getting ahead of ourselves? Should we describe what the actual episode is before we start talking about thievery, rape, and I mean, it's only a step away from
statutory.
At this point,
It's never a Christmas special without statutory rape. I mean, that's clearly allusions to it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that wasn't too far away from. Yes, you're right. So we should go back. Let's see. We've had the intro where they set up that bubble wrap is fun. You got the entire episode's plot in before the credits, which was interesting. They're like, "Oh, it's Christmas," and then Carrie's like, "I'll help you, Professor," because he's like, "I don't know how I'm going to get all of this done in time for Christmas," and she's like, "I'll do it," and he invites one of her friends over for Christmas dinner. We cut to the titles. We come back. We attempt statutory.
We attempt statutory.
Yes, we don't. They do. The spinach is hung as mistletoe because I think that's the professor. Like, who is that kid? That's the professor's like TA maybe coming over, and he's like has a Christmas bonus for him.
It's weird.
Yeah,
I assume he's a recurring character.
Yeah, he's one of the Elizabeths. I used to watch this as a child, but I forgot this episode existed. But yeah, he's the love interest for one of the sisters.
But he
That's
seems
wildly inappropropriate.
Yes, because they're still tweens at this point. They're not even
Like,
in the teen.
here, I get crushing on somebody, like when you're, I totally understand. When you're a young girl, and but you have a crush.
You were a young girl.
But like, the fact that they were actually trying to act on that in a way that would have been illegal was freaking me out. I don't know.
It was the 90s.
That's
It
true.
was on the Disney Channel in the UK. Like, that's not okay.
Claire,
Yeah.
when you were that age, did you ever try to lure a man into committing statutory rape with you?
with spinach.
I mean, I've got no comment, so
All right, that's a yes. Then.
Yes.
The
Especially
worst
with
part
the
is
spinach.
when people try to justify it that way. They're like, they're like 21. They're like, she came on to me. I'm like, she's 13. Like, you're the adult. Calm down. Like, that's the worst defense ever.
Going with the serial killer angle, it would have been weirder had they had mistletoe in the fridge, like sitting next to the spinach.
True.
Because I believe that's poisonous, right?
I don't know.
Someone told me it was poisonous.
No, I'm fairly certain whether the leaves are or the berries are. I'm fairly certain part of it is
if
poisonous.
you lick it, it'll kill you.
Yeah, it's like related to hemlock or something.
Oh.
I think. I'm not sure. I'm just spouting things out now.
Just a question again for Claire, my erstwhile colleague. Do you think that when you kiss under mistletoe, you are also meant to kiss the mistletoe?
Possibly. No one's ever kissed me under mistletoe, so I don't know what I'm supposed to do.
Does anyone else want to take this?
The thing about mistletoe that's weird is it's heavily referenced in every television and it's very. I've literally never once been in any place in any circumstance where mistletoe was hung anywhere.
I just came back from a holiday light show thing over the weekend, and they had it under every archway.
And that's why you've now got a collar on from the police and warnings
Well, I mean,
for kissing many 11-year-old girls.
Let's put a pin in that for a second. I was just going to say, in general, it feels like a little... Because in the 90s, this is a trope where they're like, oh, I have mistletoe. The nerdy guy tries to get the attractive girl to kiss them in the Steve Urkel pining after in the creepy way. But it's like nowadays, I don't think that doesn't sound like something people would do. Like, oh, we're standing under something that we should kiss, and then I feel like I'd just be instantly slapped.
Isn't that coercion? Yeah, you just it
troubling
seems.
consent issues.
I try to use that as a legal defense.
Yes.
Like, Your Honor, there was mistletoe.
It's the tradition defense.
You assume it's a woman thing, and it's like, unfortunately, I am under the mistletoe, so legally, I don't really have much choice.
It's a societal contract. If you're under mistletoe, you have to kiss the person.
Oh my god, is this how I can pull over Christmas. I just have to carry mistletoe and claim that this is the reason people have to make out with me.
Yes.
Yep, exactly.
You could even have it on a headband. Like I've seen that in an episode of something.
Wow.
Not my personal drawings. And then in the episode, they go to a Christmas tree lot with Carrie and the professor, and Carrie takes them to the lot that's not the ripoff guy that Professor normally goes to, and it's some sort of charitable homeless shelter. Was it?
I
Yeah.
didn't understand how it worked. Like, how was it a homeless shelter that had? Where did they get the fucking Christmas trees from? They were homeless people.
Side of the road.
They get the trees,
his
and
way
I think
into a forest, and he cut down those trees when
like
they
the
were
markup goes to charity somehow, and then they like volunteer their time. And then she kind of went the Charlie Brown direction and was like, "Let's choose the crappy tree."
And
The thing-
Kooky.
Yeah, she is the original manic pixie dream girl, isn't she? Really, and by that I mean someone that you just want to put your face in with a brick repeatedly because she's so fucking annoying. But anyway,
Zoe
like
Deschanel.
bubble wrap. Yes, most people like popping bubble wrap. That doesn't mark you out as unique, you stupid woman. Anyway,
I did go researching Sally Wheeler, the actor, because I haven't seen her in anything else. What else she's done? The only thing else she's done apart from this is an advert for fibromyalgia. The tough sell.
recently,
A lot of people are really interested in getting something that's also known as chronic pain syndrome. So well
but
done
it's
her.
quirky.
yeah.
She is from Winter Haven in Central Florida, which is very close to where my parents live and where the first ever Publix was opened.
Wow.
Trivia.
Fun public smash, guys. Jesus Christ.
So it's those listening in who
was that
more
listed
British-based.
next?
That's like saying where the first ever Waitrose was.
Are you equating Publix to Waitrose?
Yeah, I'd say Publix is more of an upmarket supermarket in America, Brandon Andrew.
It's kind of it's an
You've got
East
like Winn
Coast-
Dixie at the bottom, and then you've got Walmart, and then you've got Publix. That's
The funny thing, there are a lot of regional chains here. Like there is not a Winn-Dixie or a Publix anywhere near me.
I don't know.
We're
Yeah,
on
we
the
have
West Coast.
Walmart. Yeah, West Coast. Well, it's like on the East Coast, there's Hellman's mayonnaise, and on the West Coast, it's identical, but it's called Best Foods mayonnaise. Couldn't tell you why.
Branding.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Is Hellman's a UK brand then?
Yeah, I think so.
Be because Hellman's mayonnaise is like the premier. God, how are we talking about mayonnaise? Is this
Because we're here to talk
interesting
about
to
Mary
you?
Kate and
I
Ashley.
mean, we could talk
Listen,
about
we
things
put
that aren't
mayonnaise on
mayonnaise,
everything.
like
Right?
Cool
Mayonnaise
Whip.
and cheese.
Or wait, Miracle Whip.
No, Miracle Whip is
Oh, yeah,
it's
yeah.
disgusting.
To be fair, Cool Whip is
I
not
believe-
mayonnaise either.
I believe Miracle Whip is what you consider a salad cream. Is that correct?
Is that true? I always just assumed it was a spread.
Miracle Whip, I always thought was like a
Gamma, isn't she, Claire?
what?
Roller derby player.
Oh,
Miracle
Miracle
Whip.
Whips. Yeah, she's a roller derby player. I've touched her. She's lovely.
I always
She's under mistletoe. She can't sue.
isn't Miracle
I don't
Whip
think touching is allowed.
like a marshmallow filling sort of thing? I thought that's what Miracle Whip was.
No, Miracle Whip is like it looks like mayonnaise, but it's
tangy.
got a vinegary aspect to it, and it's not.
Okay, yeah, I guess
The problem is, here in America, there's people who use Miracle Whip as mayonnaise and try to pass it off as such. And those of us who like mayonnaise are like, "What the hell is this crap?"
Right.
yeah, all right, yeah, that's the same. I'm sorry, I think the confusion's come by the fact that I've just
Cool
watched
Whip.
Cool Whip.
Cool Whip. Yeah,
Now that's your whipped cream substitute in the tub.
right, okay.
With a hard
I've
H.
also just watched a video about a YouTube guy who went missing. The really fat sort of Eric Cartman kid who loved Miracle Whip, and he's got he's guy had a lisp, and he's like, "I love Miracle Whip. I'm gonna review Miracle Whip," and it was sorry, that's my dog barking. I apologize.
That's all right.
And so I'm just confused as to what Miracle Whip is. Excuse me for 2 seconds.
Sure.
While I
Yep.
just touch this dog in a loving way.
We're animal people. Don't worry. Well, I am.
Is that mistletoe I see above you?
Andrew is a veterinarian.
Yeah, they're gonna have to get his lawyer's gonna have to get the extra fancy wig to defend him on that one.
As long as he has the as long as he has, as long as he has the miracle whip, it's fine. Sorry, as long as he has the mistletoe, it's fine.
Oh dear.
So yes, they meet an attendant at the tree lot that basically just whips the tree on top of their car.
By a miracle.
After denting the car with the stand.
Yes, let's see. For some reason, I thought this was an episode where Carrie invites all of the less fortunate people over for dinner. At this point, I was probably confusing it with a different sitcom with a similar plot. Anyways, I think it cuts forward, and then she's decorated the entire house with everything. Mm-hmm. Like, there's 50 different string lights just on the porch. She apparently
he does a funny thing that I see a lot in both American and UK sitcoms, which is he sort of turns into the light and then turns back around and then starts batting things in the air.
Yes.
Sort of inconvenience to him, rather than if he just walked through them like a normal person,
duck your head,
he wouldn't have this sort of mad confusion. Which he had.
I love that shtick. It's so good.
As someone who is 6'4", and in the supermarkets when they hang banners, they hang it at 6 foot. I can attest that does happen from time to time, and I will just stand there like blowing at it to not touch my head.
Yeah, but you don't walk around the store going.
Wow!
For all the time that you're shopping. Oh, there's the miracle whip. I'll just put that in.
I get the best foods. The Hammond. But yes, I do try to avoid doing this in public unless I'm at a rave.
Your full King Kong impression.
Yes, it's my wacky waving inflatable tube man.
Oh, yes.
The thing about this episode that I was thinking was like, I wish someone would do everything.
Thank you.
I was like, I wouldn't like. I'm the type of person, for example, I do the cooking in our house, and I like most food. But if someone is going to cook for me, that is like that is great. I don't care what it is, I'll eat it if it's being cooked for me.
Even if I don't like it, I appreciate that I'm not cooking it.
Yeah, exactly.
And the other thing was, all of the decorations were hers, and she's like, I picked all these all up in my travels. What? Where is she keeping these things? Like, there's a mountain of decorations, and I assume if she's a college student, she has like maybe a 1-bedroom apartment that's not there unless she actually lives in with them.
He lives in there.
It was relatively tasteful as well, like, other than the lights outside. In
and
the
the
house,
Santa.
it was maybe a bit OTT, but it wasn't like loads of different coloured lights.
Yeah, I thought when we got inside, it would be like really hideous, and it was actually
it was alright.
But I think that,
One
like,
drunk Santa.
she spends $148 a month on a storage unit just for holiday decorations that she's collected.
Meanwhile, she can't feed herself.
Yeah, she can't pay her tuition, but it's fine.
Yeah.
No, she gets kicked out of her apartment during the series and has to go and live in their basement. So I really saved very thoroughly.
Yeah.
Maybe she's saving on rent by living in, and therefore she can afford her ridiculous outgoings for Christmas decorations.
Mm-hmm. But okay, so she has an entire storage facility full of these Christmas decorations.
Absolutely.
Tall Paul helps her out hanging stuff, apparently. I don't know.
He's trying to get a good grade.
He was a guy that happened in that episode.
Yeah, just like the assistant, the TA, the kid that helped out. He's just like, hi, I'm here. I'm the guy that plays Ray Romano's brother in Everything That's Not Everyone Loves Raymond. Or if you need a Ray Romano knockoff, I'm the guy. And now I'm gone.
On Union Ray Romano.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yes, and I kept getting hung up on the fact that the professor is angry because Carrie did everything for decorating, cooking.
Like, he was literally complaining he wasn't going to have enough time to do it. And she does it, and he isn't like.
His friend has a line, I usually want to deck you instead of the halls.
What I would say is that's the closest thing to an actual joke in the entire episode. So props for that.
True. There wasn't a lot of Olsen twins in this episode.
No, I noticed that. I was like, for a show that's about the Olsen twins, there was not much of the Olsen twins.
And thank God for that.
Yeah.
I did her grandmother's recipe for stuffing or dressing, as people call it, oysters and raisins. Andrew, you recently did a dressing for Thanksgiving.
So I believe the oysters and the stuffing is, and I could be wrong, but I think it's more of a southeast regional thing.
Really?
Yeah. So I think that might be part of it. And typically, in a dressing, we'll have some sort of a sweet component. A lot of times, cranberry makes its way in there. I personally made a sage, apple, and walnut stuffing, which was excellent with sausage. But yeah, oysters is a thing.
Huh. I specifically wrote in my notes, no way in hell, Elizabeth, is oysters and raisins good in dressing.
Yeah, it's like a weird tradition.
I want to say two things. One, Brandon, thank you for committing to the bit about Elizabeth, as overjoyed me.
Yes, and.
And secondly, Andrew, I'm the cook in our house, and that particular stuffing sounds great, but there is no way in hell I'm going to put oysters in a stuffing.
So this random website, which I've done no fact checking on, says many early American cooks stuffed their turkeys and chicken with oysters since it was an inexpensive source of protein. Turkeys were very expensive, and oysters helped ensure there was enough protein to feed a large group.
They were on the bay, I guess.
Or it made the food stretch further because no one wanted to eat it because it was disgusting. It's possible.
Ugh. Well, I mean, if you're removing the slimy bits from the inside of the turkey, why would you replace it with more slimy bits?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Ugh.
The Christmas tree lot guy showed up for dinner after the professor makes a fuss about not being able to carve the bird.
I'm with him on that one though. They threw out the most important component of the bird. You always gotta eat the skin. It's the best bit.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, like I get they were going for a joke, but there's not carcinogens in that. That's not that was just not true.
But she's a quirky, earthy girl.
Like, yeah, it has a lot of fat in it, but there's no specific carcinogens in there. I didn't really get that.
To be fair, like half the posts from every hippie chick that I follow on Instagram says something about there's carcinogens in the water you drink. So,
And the air you breathe.
yes, exactly. Doing any type of yoga that's not hot produces carcinogens. So I can see where Terry would have said that to the girls, and the girls, both Elizabeths, would have been like, "Oh, I could see that," and listening to her. And then they try to salvage it from the garbage. That's
Merry Christmas.
Yes. Let's serve garbage turkey skin to the homeless man.
Wait, which part is it when, like you're saying that the Elizabeths are not present, and she just explains, "Oh, they're just in the kitchen drinking eggnog," or something? I'm like,
So the kids are making eggnog. Like, how do you make it? You pour it out of the carton and add rum to it. That's how you make eggnog, right?
It's like
They're just like pouring. Yeah, it's like
so they're off drinking rum in the kitchen, and then later, like when they go back to the homeless shelter, spoiler alert, like the pastor is like, "Would you girls like some cider?" It's like there's not a lot of safeguarding going on here.
these eggs aren't going to nog themselves. I mean, I feel
like
that's what it comes down to.
The cider might have been lost in translation.
Yeah.
Because we have just a hot apple juice. It would be a better spiced apple juice.
No, but like, here's a beverage I've prepared for you. Drink it without questioning it. Yeah. Okay.
From the creepypasta.
Great. Yeah.
Also, I just wanted to point out from like a scene blocking type point of view, I noticed that this is the first sitcom where people actually just sit around the table.
Yeah.
The girls are so short, they're not blocking the other actors. Like, I don't think I've seen that in many other shows.
It was a cinematic masterpiece.
Yes.
Really.
Walter,
I did wonder with that sort of sitting around. I presume that it's shot on a closed set, so all of the laughter I heard was canned laughter rather than audience reaction. Because in the UK, we tend to film a lot of what is called canned laughter is audience reaction laughter because it's filmed on a set of people viewing it. A lot
were filmed in front of a live studio audience in the 90s.
No, like Seinfeld and stuff like that. I kind of get, but was this? Do we know?
I don't know.
I can't imagine that other than the cattle prod, people weren't laughing for any reason.
They do the thing, like SNL, where they have the signs. Laugh like you're an insane person.
There's nothing better than that. Like, you need someone to tell you when to laugh. It's like, well, then it wasn't a joke.
Or the joke was very good, and it just went over the heads of the audience.
Yes.
Yeah, the biggest one I trash on that is the Big Bang Theory, because I hear it is filmed in front of a live audience, but those people must need to be scraped up off the floor after there's so much fake laughing going on.
Well, it's because they don't know what's an actual joke and what's just making fun of people, which is all of it. Not for the Big Bang Theory.
They're sitting in the audience like, wait, they're making fun of me. Oh.
Yeah. No. Any self-respecting nerd that enjoys the Big Bang Theory makes me...
has no self-respect.
Fair, yeah. So, would that make them anyway.
Truly one of the worst shows on television. Anyway, moving on.
Sorry, we don't like the Big Bang Theory here.
No, I feel like I'm among my people now, so...
yeah. Community all the way.
Yes!
We're all human beings here, well, except for Andrew. Yeah, he's watched an episode. Anyway, Walter goes up to go to the bathroom because he got to take a leak. You know.
Where's the can?
You're in Chi-Town. You gotta take a leak. I don't know what these terrible accents are.
He is the most American person. He might have just as well said, "Hey, I'm walking here."
Yeah, it's like you get New York or Southern. That's all you get.
In Chicago, they have a very somewhat slightly different dialect.
The thing that drives me nuts is like all these shows are set somewhere. Mm-hmm. They're only set there so they know which establishing shots to use. But like they showed downtown Chicago and then this house, the interior of a house, which is clearly in the suburbs,
which looks exactly like the Family Matters.
There is one shot, some stock footage.
Yeah, and every single. Okay, first of all, there's nothing worse than how often Grey's Anatomy shows the Space Needle. That's on the side. But yeah, every sitcom living room in the 1990s is exactly the same layout. It's the weirdest thing.
I'm fairly sure that was the Family Matters.
It wasn't it?
It looked like the Family Matters set. Walter stole the presents. He gave it to the orphans. We find out as they come, like they get angry and they're like, "Let's go find Walter over at the Christmas tree lot." And it's like, okay. Oh, and the friend comes over. The New Yorker guy. He's
Uncle
like,
Eddie.
Uncle Eddie. He's like, but he's like, he's an uncle in the way that like he's the best friend of their dad. Right? Okay. He's like, I'll get my brothers and we'll go hunt this guy down.
Again, he comes just blasting in the unlocked back door. He just comes blasting, like no knock, nothing. They're in the middle of a holiday dinner, and he's just there.
And again, in the Chicago suburbs, he's able to go around to the back of their house and enter instead of just going through the front. It's at this point I remember the episode because I was like, they're opening their gifts around the bonfire and then lighting them on fire because they're terrible sweaters.
That's the thing though, isn't it? Like, they're such shit presents. I don't know why they want them back.
Yeah. But I think that sends the wrong message. Like, it's okay to steal if it's for charity. And I'm like, no, that's not how that works.
I'm thinking about this a lot today because I noticed in a plastic bag we had in the house that the terrible gift store chain collectibles has like 10 outlets in our region, and I've no idea how on a modern high street they're sustaining that because they only sell like candles and eerie figurines of faceless women holding faceless babies and just random tat that overrates your grandma. But it's literally because it's at this time of year, like people are literally buying any old shit for people who are apparently an inspiration for them. And that's what I feel about all those gifts. It's like, oh,
like the dad.
Look, the homeless people have got my travel pillow. I got my dad.
Yeah, the dad is like, oh no, where else am I going to get a pleated pair of khakis? Like, pleated khakis were the worst thing. It's just so bad.
In his defense, he's a teacher trying to support 2 kids.
Let's just say,
a babysitter.
If it were like the mid-2000s, he'd be the guy with the cell phone on the belt holster. Absolutely, without question.
But
So
yeah,
the fact that they forgive this so swiftly once the presents have been given makes me question, just do Elizabeth and Elizabeth Olsen just think that if it happens on Christmas Eve, the purge is fine? Are we
Statutory rape, fine, no problem.
Good cause, because depopulation, because obviously it's a big issue with climate change. If you kill a few people, that's also fine. If you rob a few people, that's also fine.
As long as it's in the spirit of Christmas.
yes, in the spirit of Christmas. In fairness, Walter calls the cops to come arrest him.
That's the stupidest thing. Like, that was the worst thing. It didn't make any sense.
Like, why?
Because I think that just added to the fact that he felt bad and he's a good guy, and that was the takeaway from that. Because otherwise, he'd just be, as he actually is, a fundamental fucking thief and should be locked up.
Exactly.
Else, but because he was a charismatic, cheeky scamp, he called the police on himself.
I think what actually happened is he tried to fence the presents, and no one wanted the khakis. So then he's like, "Oh, I'll just give it to these orphans, and this is how I'll get out of it."
Yeah, it's kind of the pity angle. Like, oh, look, the police are here to arrest me. Who arranged for that?
Yeah.
Me.
I need to go to jail for taking $90 worth of presents.
Khakis.
Yeah.
And like all of the presents were just the outfit that he was wearing. It's just driving me nuts.
The thing that confused me is like fair enough if he knew what the presents were and that these people needed them. I mean, not fair enough, but if he took like a PS1 in that time or a TV and gave it to a homeless person, they're like, what the fuck am I going to do with this? It's a PS1. Thanks. Great. I'll play.
Look at the Sonic hair toothbrush.
Yeah.
What the hell?
But no, it was fine because it was a couple of sweaters, a pair of trousers, and some other shite.
They were very excited about opening those presents. Just that, if anything, this is better because they run through from the kitchen to the presents. Let's go and open our presents. Great, some trousers.
The girls got men's trousers for the holiday.
And then so that resolves. That was a 2-minute conflict, and it resolved quickly. They get back home, and the professor Carrie gives the girls some elephant ornaments that apparently they commented on earlier. I don't. She got it in Bethlehem. A lot of giraffe ornament. Sorry. She gives the professor the drunk Santa that he hates. And then Carrie gets her own ornament for the tree, which she puts in between the professor and Elizabeth's star, or maybe between both Elizabeth's stars. Where's their dead mother's ornament? Right?
Oh my gosh!
Right? Because they're all like homemade ornaments from when they were kids.
I mean, how would you do that? Would it be like one of those little baubles with some of the ashes inside?
No, it just says mom, maybe. Or you don't even have to name her. She's been fridged before the series starts. But
she's the star on the top of the tree.
But then, who made the ornament? Or did he just tip X out the mom's name and then write Carrie on it?
Oh, that's even. Oh my god. Maybe he's the serial killer.
We were talking on our show tonight about the BBC, Blue Peter Advent Crown. It's a long-running kids' TV show, and like every year when we were growing up, they would it's time to make your Advent crown, which is basically putting 2 metal coat hangers together and wrapping them in tinsel, and then sticking some candles on, and then in the weeks before Christmas, you light a new candle every week. Like, it's very an unstable fire hazard. I'm surprised people survived. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's why the mum died. It's like she was lighting her Blue Peter Advent crown, went up, took out her Christmas decoration.
The cheap tinsel that they had when they were
which
younger.
genuinely is full of carcinogens.
If I was being truly dark, I would suggest that she just seen the children that Elizabeth had become and decided to end it all. But
Or Elizabeth and Elizabeth would just stand in the hallway at night, staring down at her, pointing, asking her to play forever and ever and ever. And then obviously we have to talk about the post credits. I think we touched on this a little slightly earlier. The dad's like singing carols on the piano, and the girls have
Wrecked on eggnog.
Yes.
Just wasted. They're just over there. Yeah.
And they're passed out. They're pretending to be passed out, and he's like, "Oh, what sweet kids!" And then they run away as soon as he exits the room.
If anyone in my household just went to the piano and started playing and singing Christmas carols, I would have no idea what to do. I would just leave. I think that's just so far outside of what would actually happen.
It's a recurring bit in these Christmas episodes where at the end they just burst into song, but this one put a nice twist on it. I didn't know there could be that many Christmas carols, is what one of the Elizabeths said.
It's one of those, like, it turns it on its head slightly, doesn't it? Because like his behaviour when she does all the Christmas stuff for him, it's very controlling. He's genuinely like, "You will do Christmas the way I want you to do Christmas." And then at the end, like his daughters are so afraid of him, they can't feel the need to say, like, "To be honest, Dad, it's been a long day. There was the incident with us being robbed by the homeless man. It's been quite a stressful Christmas Eve. We just like to go to bed now." They're like, "Shit, if we say we're not going to listen to him doing all of the 12 days of Christmas for about 20 minutes, he's going to fucking lamp us."
He's going to completely snap, and it's going to be over.
Until he gets bored.
Dark side of the
You know
show.
what he did to Mum. You know what he did to Mum. He'll do it to us as well.
He picks up the drunk Santa and starts bludgeoning them with. No.
Oh, all right. Final thoughts for the episode.
I liked it.
Genuinely absolute shit, and I thank you for inflicting that upon me on my Sunday morning.
I spent 90% of my time thinking he's a Pooh Man's Nathan Fillion, so that confuses me.
Yeah.
Good show.
Yeah.
I can say with absolute certainty I will watch no more of this show, not another minute in my entire lifetime. I just can't do it.
It made me want to go back to it. I kind of remember watching this as a kid and liking it. This and Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. I think it's just, Olsen twins and people that look like Nathan Fillion.
Two Guys and a Girl in a Pizza Place shoots a bit high, not much higher, I'll agree, but a little bit higher than this anyway. I stand Richard Ruccolo. So
Interestingly, the woman from that and the woman from this kind of remind me of each other in a way.
They're quirky. Doesn't she play the quirky girl in Monk later on?
Trailer Howard, I believe her name is, was also in Me, Myself, and Irene with Jim Carrey.
Oh, didn't know that.
I forgot about that.
But yes, she is. She's the second Monk girl, not the first Monk girl.
And was that everyone's thoughts on Two of a Kind? Very Carrie Christmas. All right, that's it for this. Yep.
So as you say, I think John's stunned into silence for once, which I really appreciate, guys. So thank you.
I heard John say he liked it.
Yeah, I thought some of the imagery was particularly powerful.
And that's it for this holiday edition of Namely 90s. Thank you to John, Gareth, and Claire of Everyone Dies in Sunderland for coming on. Can you let our listeners know where to find you?
Physically.
Yes. We figure you need some more murders for your podcast. No, Twitter, Instagram, podcast places to find you.
Right, get warmed up, Claire. Twitter is at Everyone Dies Pod. Our email address is, like every other indie podcast, Everyone Dies in Sunderland @gmail.com. And the rest of it, Claire Robinson.
Instagram is at everyone_dies_in_Sunderland, and Facebook, just search for Everyone Dies in Sunderland and come and say hello. And I think that's all of our socials.
And Gareth, no, just kidding.
Fantastic.
What they said, right.
You can write us at no.
Fantastic. And as always, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Naming90s with 90s, or find our personal accounts at bschwitty and at NamingAndrew, and tell us what you want us to talk about on future episodes. If you'd like to support the show, please check out our Patreon at patreon.com/Naming90s, also with a 90s. Finally, you could also contact us through our website, Naming90s.com. Please subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Drunk Santa, Deezer, TuneIn, Good Pods, iHeart, and wherever you get your podcasts from. I'm Brandon, that's Andrew, and thank you one final time to John, Gareth, and Claire of Everyone Dies in Sunderland. And we'll catch you tomorrow for day 8 of our 12 Days of Christmas specials.
Toss us off.
I can guarantee he's been waiting for the entire podcast to say that right at the end.